On my right, we have Senator Kimani Momatangi from Kiambu County. Also, we are still expecting Senator Mutula Kalonzo Jr. from Makueni County and Kipruto Arapkirwa, Deputy Party Leader ANC, an aspirant for the Trans Nzoia Senate seat as well. We expect them to be joining us later. Now, a quick look at the headlines and what is headlining on the dailies. Joho grilled by forgery experts over certificate. That's headlining on one edition of the Standard, and I believe that's the Coast edition. The other edition is headlining on perhaps one of the biggest stories of the day, and that's the budget. Inside Uhuru's last budget, and that's what is headlining on the Standard. And I'm just thinking this headline is a bit presumptive. Inside Uhuru's last budget.
Well, I think they meant...
We know what they mean, but someone else looking at it...
Well, it's mischievous.
Yeah. Are you seeing any mischief then?
Well, I mean, absolutely.
But you do understand what they mean.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's understandable, but it should also be explicit. I mean, it should be put the way it is. I mean,
but it could just be.
There should be no...
Inside Uhuru's first term, last budget.
No, but there's also a possibility. It's not necessarily a lie. It could just happen. But this is
discerning people with the undiscerning capacity may see it and conclude it's over.
It's done.
Okay.
Well, yeah, but
that's not the case.
Yes, it's not the issue. The real story is in the content of the budget.
Of course,
you know, the details and the plans of government.
Okay, and we'll be looking into that in a short while. Also, Governor Joho from Mombasa continues making headlines. He features on both the front pages of the big dailies today. Outrageous Joho grilled on certificates is at the very top of the page on the Standard. On the Daily Nation, it's at the bottom left corner. I did not forge my KCSE certificate, says Joho. Also very big today, and this is perhaps the other big talking point, is what is happening in NASA. And it's NASA flag or nothing, warns Wiper. That's on the Daily Nation on the front page. On the Standard, you have Kalonzo or there's no NASA, same Wiper ultimatum, and the former VP's ally, trusted ally and party insider declares alliance will be left a Nyanza affair if Kalonzo is not given ticket to run for the presidency, and issues 7-day notice. Of course, hopefully by the time we get to that headline, we'll have Mutula Kalonzo Jr., Senator from Makueni County, who's also a member of the Wiper Party. I don't want to bring it up right now because we only have members of the Jubilee.
He may overhear it on radio and not come.
Let's start off with some good news. This one you can just briefly, free drugs for cancer patients at Kenyatta. This is a big story, away from politics and away from these are things that we always talk about. The first batch of patients in a public hospital to be treated with a breast cancer drug that can cure early stages of the disease will receive their first dose today. Allow me to continue reading this because it's very important. About 20 patients will get the drug Herceptin for free at the Kenyatta National Hospital. They would otherwise have to pay 250,000 shillings for the dose, yet a patient requires at least 18 such doses, adding up to about 4.5 million shillings. Wow. Now, this will be the first time the medicine is being given in a public facility, as it is available only in some private hospitals. The drug given as an injection targets a protein that fuels the growth of aggressive breast cancer, which do not respond to treatment. Now, breast cancer, of course, is the second most prevalent in Kenya. Good news, at least, Bonangabage. Something positive to start the day today.
Well, I think that something to celebrate because let's face it, health is a very big challenge. Health management and the treatment of people is something that we all can coalesce together. It doesn't matter from which side. And an initiative like that one, I think, is something to be commended. Yes. And we hope that with time and with the advancement in technology, the costs of this drug will go down and more people will take advantage of it.
Yes.
But I think what is also most important here is that it demonstrates that government cares for its people. And that's the way it should be.
Yes.
Let's also face it. I mean, health management or health challenge is a global phenomenon. it doesn't matter whether you're in developed country or developing country. This is a challenge that has to be faced squarely, and I do hope that with time and with the growth of the economy, we can be able to take care of our own who are in need, and I think that is a demonstration of that kind of an initiative.
Senator, definitely some good news, and probably something that if we could connect it to the budget, we should see a lot more going towards health, towards such initiatives, given the cancer budget that we currently face as a country.
Yeah, sure. And first to say, yes, it's good news coming hot in the heels of the chaos and the disaster of the doctors' strike. You know, the loss of lives and generally the mayhem that Kenyans had to go through. You know, very depressing that period. And so at least that's good news coming from that particular ministry. But let me say two things. First, the fact that we need to acknowledge that our sisters, mothers and daughters have really been suffering a lot, and it is noteworthy that cancer is seriously on the rise in the country. Actually, as it has been reported in most reports, now the cases of cancer far outweigh the cases of even HIV/AIDS that are being screened and detected in this country, and so probably now that being a remedy, and I've firsthand seen how especially those in the low income bracket suffer. You know, when a mother is diagnosed to have breast cancer, sometimes they end up losing that breast. Some of them have got to go through Harambes to go outside.
4.5 million shillings is a lot of money.
Quite a bit of money. But you know what I would want to say is this: that remember when the HIV/AIDS epidemic struck this country, and then we waited for it to become such an explosive issue, such an annihilator of the community, and then we started taking very fast measures, including screening and so on. And if you look at most of the cancer cases in this country, sometimes they are only detected or noted when they have gone into the extreme stages. And I think what we would want to urge the ministry to do is to also seriously look at a scenario where they can have a screening program that would help patients, probably as mothers go to check into maternity hospitals, or as they're going through their prenatal courses. Can the ministry introduce a system where they also screen for cancer, for example, for breast, even before the woman goes to complain that I'm feeling a lump or I'm feeling this? Because if that is made to be one of the initiatives of government, of the ministry, then you find that the cases where people or women would be detected with these diseases and they are treated at the early stages when they can be curable, would be
and of course that would require some budgetary input, and that's what CS Henry Rotich will be trying to do today. We just have to wait and see how much has gone towards the Ministry of Health, because the recommended allocation should be like 15% of the entire budget, but we rarely go beyond single digit when it comes to,
and not forgetting that also health is a devolved function. It's a fully devolved function,
but still paid, funded through the same budget.
Definitely, and then the money is supposed to roll out to the counties.
Yes,
and this is why probably it would also be good to add that remember all this equipment that was taken to the counties via the equipment that was given to the hospitals in county governments. I think it is also important that we need to ask our governors that they need to quickly get on board also into modernizing and embracing technology. Not only what they got as the deal between them and national government, but on their own, to address the issues at the county government levels, or at the county level, so that the more they get this equipment which detects cancer, which treats cancer, which cures cancer and other diseases, then healthcare would advance. I mean, it's now in their hands.
Okay. Now I want us to go to the story before we just get to the budget. And I do understand that Senator Mutula Kalonzo Jr. is in the building, so I'd asked my director to try and accommodate him before we get to the budget story. And as we do that, as we wait for that to happen, there's also a very big story on the front page of the Daily Nation. And this is the second in a series of headlines to do with corruption that they've been running this week at the Kenya Pipeline. Alleged corruption at the Kenya Pipeline Company. It's titled Torrents of Fraud. Yesterday they talked about a tender for replacement of the pipeline, the oil pipeline from Mombasa. Now today they talk about, and the headline reads, 600 million shilling loot for River Road wheeler dealer. In Gill House, which is pictured there, and there's a very big photo. Gill House, most people who are in Nairobi know where it is. It's somewhere along Moy Avenue, a stone's throw away from the heart of River Road, where a lot of things do happen. Conmen and vendors of sinful pleasures rub shoulders with small-time traders. A company owned by a pipeline welder, acting of course as a fig leaf for his bosses, was given a 600 million shilling tender for a sophisticated valve used in fueling jetliners. The company was paid 450 million shillings before delivering a single valve. 235 million shillings was cutted away from National Bank in cash. Now, I don't know, is it really wrong for a company located in River Road to get a government tender or a big tender? Because that would be the feeling that, yes, probably if you're working along River Road, you cannot access a government tender. Is that the issue here, really?
Well, I don't think where you are located as a service provider is the issue. What to me is important is whether, one, there was competence and the skills by the one who won the tender, and two, whether the process of tendering was consistent or compliant with the Public Procurement and Disposal Act. So it is maybe very presumptuous on our part to start casting aspersion as to how this thing happened, because while sometimes you look at a headline, you need to go deep into the issues, what it is, because basically what they're talking about there is that 450 million shillings was paid first before delivery of anything. Now one needs to look at what are the terms of the contract.
Because some of that could be allowed.
Exactly. That facilitates that kind of colossal amount of money to be paid. So there is more than meet the eye in this particular respect. But be it what it is, I think the critical issue here is how are public resources being spent, and whether there is compliance with the law as it is provided for. I think this country needs to address the issue of above-board operations like transparency and accountability. But I don't want to discuss so much about this because I really don't have the facts as it is. But I think it is important that we understand how was it done.
Yes, and of course it has to do a lot with the tendering process in government, Senator, because most of the allegations of corruptions that we come across nowadays, hence the word tenderpreneurs, it has to do with government tendering. That corrupt individuals have found a way of actually fleecing the government through government tenders, and that's the biggest loophole or rather route that corrupt individuals are using. Of course, President Uhuru Kenyatta has been on record as saying when it comes to corruption, he's totally unable to do anything else right now. It's 130 days to the elections. Such headlines, what do they mean for him?
Well, let me first say that I'm a member of the Energy Committee in the Senate, and this is a matter that I'm aware about. Aware to the extent that it is a matter that is actually before the committee that I sit in, and it's also a matter over which we have asked for explanation, indeed, including the issue that was in the headlines yesterday about project by Kenya Pipeline. That matter is before our committee. We had summoned Kenya Pipeline or the individuals. Part of those summonses were also including this particular issue, and they are yet to come and bring to us the details of all the documents that will be able to peruse them. But a few things I want to say that stand out. One is that all those other factors notwithstanding, as my colleague says here, you can live in Lodwar or live in Lavington, and you would qualify to get in a tender. The location is not an issue. Some of the pertinent issues that one would be questioning about this is one, it's a requirement of law. For example, in the course of evaluation, that you would need to have the technical know-how. Two, you'd need to have the capacity to be able to execute such a tender, and so on. And these are some of the main questions that one would be asking when those kind of figures are mentioned, and the relationship that is drawn by trying to bring in the terms, a wheeler dealer and so on. And most of all, in most of the contracts that I've seen that are to do with aviation, it's also a requirement that once you supply this kind of equipment, you continue servicing and so on. So that becomes critical, that you know about what you're doing. But on the question of this amount that is alleged to have left before any work was done, then as Karanja says, then one would need to see whether in that contract there was an element that allowed for mobilization of funds before that's done. But by and large, this is the issue, that if after we have looked at it, as I've said, we are seized of the matter right now, we have actually summoned the individuals themselves to the committee, including the contractor of the pipeline or the subcontractors. We have summoned them, the ones who supplied these jet fuel valves for the airport, and we'll be able to see, such that we're able to cast and open up and say, this is true, this is not true, this was open, this is real, because the figures may look huge, because of course they are huge.
When you're talking about 600 million shillings,
it is to fuel jetliners worth billions. I mean, the point is this, that if the amount was given for a contract validly evaluated, and work has been done, is going to be done, then there's nothing to
and if the headline says, the headline says to inform the public that there is such an issue, and that Parliament, or at least the Senate, is seized of the matter. Now we also, Mutula Kalonzo Jr., Senator from Makueni County, has finally joined the panel. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Fred.
Thank you.
I'm worried you may not come. I was telling Fred
that I will not come.
I was telling Fred, please don't talk a lot about the NASA
and wiper
deal, because if he hears about it,
I will not
he may come back.
But Senator, quick thoughts on this this headline on the Daily Nation before we delve into budget matters. This one about potential, or rather alleged, fraud at KPC.
The issue about KPC has been on the headlines for a while now, maybe a month. And remember, this is a tender about the pipeline. And half of it arises from an incident which is not highlighted a lot in the media, but is one of the incidences that has happened in a country that came to the Senate, and Senator Matangi is aware, because he came to Thange. It was an oil spill in Thange, where over 400,000 liters leaked into Thange River, causing an environmental disaster. Now, where there is some smoke, you definitely have some fire. Now, if you calculate the amounts here, it translates to more than 60% of the award. It's not the fact of where that person is that if there is doubt that is being cast. Remember the question of Josephine Kafura. Why was it a big deal? It's because she's allegedly a hairdresser who was given this huge amount to perform this amount of work, and therefore her capacity was doubted. So I agree with Senator Matangi to the extent, therefore, where you ask does this person who is operating from Gill House, it's an old building, but do they have capacity? It's not the building, it's whether you have expertise in that building, in that company, that will do the sort of work that is supposed to be done here. It's not supposed to be the sort of contract where you give me a contract and I give to my good friend here who would know what to do, and I'm the one who has been awarded the contract. But there's certainly a problem. But what is worse is that this is a continuous now exercise where Senator Wamatangi's committee in the Senate or any other in the National Assembly is doing this after the fact. We are chasing the cat every day. It's a cat's tail, actually. We are never able to get to the root of corruption before it happens. Over the page where you are reading about cancer is yet another corruption that is going on in the Ministry of Water, which you have not highlighted. That a big tender for the building of one of the Vision 30 projects has been cancelled because of a row between the minister and the CS. Some of those things that are happening, and you can imagine, as we speak, the government has already paid 2.5 billion to the residents of Makueni and Kitui for the acquiring of the land. So I asked myself the question, are they going to ask for a refund from the poor residents of Makueni?
And we do understand, is it the World Bank or the bank that was financing that has already pulled out of the project?
And that was actually the financier of the project. So it simply means that 2.5 billion for the compensation. First of all, that money most likely will get lost. 2, we are not going to get a financier soon. 3, that project will stall.
And surely, because now you said you've been seized of this matter. Senate is looking into it, is investigating this, plus other reports as well. And it takes a lot of time to investigate this. It's 130 days to the elections. Politicians are also busy with party primaries, party nominations, campaigns and all this. If the current legislators are unable in their committees as they stand right now to actually exhaust this probe, what happens? Does it move on to the next one, or
I think let us not convert the Parliament into an investigative authority. We have the CIDs, we have the EACC, and we have other bodies. Parliament is seized of this kind of matters in cases where you find that the work has not been done by the relevant bodies. But Parliament is not an investigative body, and those authorities, they already exist. Okay? So from my point of view, I don't think it is when Parliament will close or its term is going to end that is going to stop this matter from coming up. Now I want to say one thing, and I'm saying this from a research I did myself. There was one time I wrote a paper on what is called the interface between corruption and FDI. That is foreign direct investment. Well, I went back to 1970. And I'll tell you one thing. In this country, if you take 1 shilling of government, 1 shilling of government, it will be traced. It is whether we are willing to bite the bullet when somebody has used public resources. If you go to Public Accounts Committee, you go to Auditor General's report, I can assure you, you will always find these things there. And it's not only this thing.
The truth is known, it's only that action is not being taken.
Absolutely. Government money is not something that can just disappear without a trace. No. Don't be under that impression. It is what we do or don't do that is the issue. But don't be under any illusion that any one person can pick 1 shilling of government and hide it somewhere and there's not found. No. That one does not happen.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe just to add, but maybe to inform my friend Karanja that indeed Parliament has got investigative powers.
Yes.
And those powers are conferred by the Constitution.
Yes.
Actually, if you just to mention in a few cases, if you look at when a governor is being impeached, part of the mandate of the House at that time is to investigate the matter and come up with conclusions. If you look at most of the committees, including the Public Accounts Committee, the work that they do is by delegation of the Constitution, investigating.
It is.
Yeah. So
it's an inquiry.
The part of Parliament investigating is absolutely done. It's correct. It's lawful. It's constitutional.
But I think what I should have said, Parliament is unable to exhaust this matter. What happens?
No, there is no way Parliament will not be able to exhaust it. How? I mean, actually, in the Constitution, especially like, let me speak for the Public Accounts Committee, which I'm also a member. The Constitution is very clear that when the committee sits, it has the powers of the High Court.
124.
Yeah, that's Article 124.
So you have to exhaust this matter before you actually...
In fact, the law is very clear that you have the powers to summon anyone from anywhere, including abroad,
take time.
and ask for any information or any documentation.
My concern, Senator, is the time between now and next election.
Yeah.
What if this committee is not able to carry out its mandate in as far as this particular issue is concerned?
The matter doesn't die.
So it moves to the next
it's Parliament that acts. It's not Wamatangi or Senator Mutula who is acting. It is the House of Parliament.
So once they reconstitute their committee in the 12th Parliament, they continue with this.
I think what I should, this is my statement. What I meant to say is Parliament is not the only institution.
Yes.
We already have got permanent institutions.
Like the ESCC, which is already...
Yeah, that carries work, whether Parliament is present or it is not present.
Okay.
But I did not mean, and it was understood that way, I did not mean that Parliament does not, what it is doing, it is not legitimate or it is not within the law or the Constitution. But that is allowed.
But the clarity is that our work is to oversight use of public funds on behalf of Kenyans.
Yes.
That is our work.
Absolutely.
The criminal aspects of it are then left to the Director of Criminal Investigations. The economic crimes are left to ESCC and prosecution left to the relevant organs. But the fact of the matter is that we even make findings of criminal culpability. We make findings that persons should be surcharged under the Constitution. The only thing we don't do is jail. Otherwise, strictly speaking, we would throw people in jail.
If you were allowed to do so, I'm sure you'd be so excited.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, we need to take a break now so that when we return, we discuss issues of the budget. Remember, the budget, this year's budget is being read more than 2 months earlier than usual. You usually get the budget reading in sometime around June. This time it's happening on April 30th, which is today. The CS for Treasury, Henry Rotich, will be making the budget statement this afternoon in Parliament. And I do assume that it will be the same across the other two East African nations, Uganda and Tanzania, given that President Uhuru Kenyatta has already admitted to those countries to try and adjust their budget reading timelines to accommodate Kenya, because we are in a very unique situation this time round with the elections coming in August. So our budget has to be read a bit earlier. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll be discussing what are the expectations of this budget.